What is going on, my friends? Welcome back to the channel. We are currently in the process of finishing up some Cerakote work, and we are actually redoing the 4 control arms that we did a few days ago. The reason we're redoing them for the 3rd freaking time is because I knew we were running a little bit short on Cerakote, so I was trying to be a little bit more careful with how much we were applying. But you can clearly see the difference between this freshly coated arm right here and this arm here. That's what it's supposed to look like. This is a nice, smooth, perfect finish. This one's very rough. It feels like it's sandblasted. It's pretty much all the dry spray. So we already redid 2 of the arms. We got 2 other arms done. We have a few arms in the oven right now. So these are the last 2 arms that we're gonna redo. Thankfully that piece over there turned out good, and this guy here is still too big for our oven. Our oven didn't grow on us, so we're gonna have that done somewhere else. Once again, we are using H151 satin aluminum from Cerakote. I got a big old tub of it in because I've been coating a lot of parts recently. This is the closest to a nice natural OEM look that I found. It looks so freaking beautiful. Let's go ahead and get these 2 arms redone, and we can move on to today's project, which this is pretty much today's project because it's taken forever. All right, my friends, today's project for the Hyper Blue Evo 8 rebuild. We are gonna be working on the fuel tank today. This thing needs quite a bit of love, cleaned up, recoated. Not sure how we're gonna recoat it, but we're gonna recoat it somehow. First thing I'm gonna do is go ahead and drain it. So there's 2 plugs on the bottom, one there, one on that side. She is pretty heavy right now. I'd say it's half full, so it's gonna be much easier to maneuver if it was empty. So we got all the fuel drained out. Let's go ahead and give this thing a good pressure wash. Try to get all of this dirt and grime off here. I can already tell it's gonna be pretty rusty underneath all of that dirt though. So we got it cleaned up as best as possible. The bottom side isn't terrible, but the top side, so the side that would be under the seat, you can see how much rust is actually on this thing. I don't even really know where to start. I don't know what we're gonna coat it with yet. I don't really know anything. But what I do know is that I want it nice. I think I'm gonna start with a wire wheel, just try to get it down and cleaned up as best as possible. And I feel like that Raptor liner stuff would be a good solution for this. Also, there is this shielding everywhere that's riveted on, and I haven't decided yet if I want to go that freaking far to just start pulling everything off. There's got to be a stopping point somewhere on this car. This isn't a full restoration, so I don't want to spend 90 years on it. I only want to spend like 9 years on it. Okay, we're getting a little carried away here. We got pretty much this whole half down to bare metal. There's like this really thick coating on it. I'm not exactly sure what it is. It's like tar, probably some sort of sound deadening or something. I'm not really sure. Undercoating could be. Scrape that off with our gasket scraper and then started grinding on it. We're probably 2 or 3 hours deep right now, and this is how far we are. This gas tank is going to be like a 20-hour project. So if this takes 20 hours, what the heck are we doing to the underside of that thing? Because it's going to take 20 days at this rate. I don't have any sort of wire wheel, like a fast wire wheel setup here. So I'm going to run to the good old rusty, trusty Harbor Freight down the road and see what they got for me. So I've been needing an angle grinder for a while anyway. So we got an angle grinder, an abrasive wheel, and then a little wire wheel kit, and it came with a wire brush. So I'm gonna slap on probably one of these cup, probably this beefy looking cup right here, onto the angle grinder and see what we can get done. Definitely a solid investment. It's gonna make life so much easier now. All right, I'm gonna keep grinding, throw a mask on so we don't breathe all this poop in, and see how far we can get tonight. So this is currently where we stand with the bottom part of the gas tank. I feel like that was the hard part because the top doesn't have that coating on it, but this is pretty much ready to go. Obviously needs a little bit of cleanup, but let's flip it over and move to the top and see what we can get done with all of this rust. We're off to a good start. This took forever, but off to a good start. Holy crap, that is so freaking rusty. So for now, I'm gonna leave everything installed just so we don't get gunk inside the gas tank. Now I'm gonna get as close as I can, probably within an inch of everything, especially the radium hanger. I definitely don't want to mess that up at all with the wire wheel. So let's see what we can do. Hopefully it takes this paint and this rust off pretty quick. Well guys, I almost died. I hope that was on camera. The wire wheel caught an edge and I had that button you push to just keep the thing going without holding the trigger down. Cruise control is what I call it. And it flew off the tank, wrapped up into my shirt, caught my finger really, really good. But thankfully it didn't get like my torso at all because it got caught in my shirt. Completely destroyed my shirt. So that was a little bit sketchy, a little bit hairy, but we made a ton of progress on it. I ended up switching wheels to a stiffer wheel, and I wish it was light outside so we weren't making the shop a mess, so we could do this outside like we were earlier, but we're pretty much done. I have to pull every assembly out of the tank, and then I have to figure out how to mask that off inside, and then we can go through and get the rest of this thing cleaned up. But this is how it looks so far. You can see where all the rust was. So I think we should be good now. This thing is gonna be down to complete bare metal. No more rust issues with this thing. Okay, it's the following morning. Let's go ahead and get this thing finished prep-wise. We gotta get everything removed, but as you can see, we already have one broken stud right here. It does not leak, so I wasn't super concerned with it. But now that the tank is out of the car, I may try and attempt to fix that, especially if we break more studs. The gas tank itself is 100% cleaned up, ready to go. No more paint, no more rust, no more nothing on it. Of course, we do still need to clean it up completely before we go ahead and spray it out. We need to figure out what we're doing with all these pieces as well. So this is the heat shield, or I don't know if you call it a heat shield, but I call it a heat shield. This thing's pretty crusty. I might Raptor liner. That's what we're using on the tank, by the way, is Raptor liner. So I might do some Raptor liner on that. And then we have these two pieces as well. I'm gonna sandblast those. I'm gonna get this guy cleaned up. I'm gonna try and sandblast that as well, if it'll fit in the sandblaster. So we got those 3 shields in the stripper tank. Being that this fuel tank is gonna be perfect, it's only right that we make everything else nice as well. So all of everything on the top of the fuel tank that bolts on, all of these assemblies, I'm taking the plates, I'm gonna sandblast them, and I'm gonna powder coat them all black. It does appear that they're supposed to be zinc plated gold, but I'm not gonna drop these off. It'd cost, I think, $150 just to do these few pieces. This guy right here, unfortunately, we cannot do because none of that comes apart. Redoing these 3 pieces will make it look a whole lot better. These are warm, so this is considered a hot coat. You can do it either way, hot or cold. Sometimes they just do hot because it's faster that way. As of right now, we have everything prepped out. The heat shield I reassembled just so we're not spraying 2 different pieces at once because we don't have much space. I'm gonna go ahead and spray them down with wax and grease remover, get them 100% spotless, 100% clean, and then we can go ahead and spray the epoxy primer, which I believe I have. I hope I have some black here. Let me double check before I do this. This here should be everything that we need. So we have Prep All wax and grease remover, we have the epoxy primer, black, epoxy catalyst, and then the Raptor liner itself. I think 1 bottle should be enough. And then I believe there's catalyst in here. I've actually never used Raptor liner before, so hardener. And then a Raptor spray gun as well. So first off, let's go ahead and hose them down with some wax and grease. So we have the epoxy primer mixed up. There's a 15-minute induction time. So in the meantime, I'm gonna go ahead and wet down the whole entire floor again from like here forward. I don't feel like masking the shop off today, and we're not spraying a lot of parts. So that's the plan today. I need to get a spray booth as well. All the epoxy primer is laid down. Even if it stayed looking like this, I would be pretty happy. It's kind of like a flat black, looks pretty good. We're gonna wait about an hour and then go ahead and lay down the Raptor liner. It's been about an hour. These parts are ready for the Raptor. So I've never used this. From what I understand, all we have to do is take this guy, pop the cap off, dump it in here, mix it up, and then this sprays right onto the gun. It's kind of what it seems like. It's always fun learning new things, and I'm pretty sure that's how it works, so let's give it a shot. So we got everything sprayed out. It's a little bit more rough than I thought it would be. And the second I started spraying and I saw some laying on the floor, I knew there's no way it's ever gonna come off the floor. So that's why I moved them outside real quick. Here is how they look. It's been a few hours, so they're like dry to the touch, but I don't think you should use them for a few days is what it said. I don't mind the look. I do, like I said, I wish it was a little bit flatter. And then these guys over here turned out really nice as well. Pretty stoked with this stuff. I'm excited to see how it holds up over time. One thing that I was going to spray and I kind of forgot about was this filler neck. In this section down here, it's pretty rusty, but I'm gonna go ahead and disassemble this thing real quick. I'm gonna replace the hoses that are dry rotted, and we gotta figure out what we're doing with the metal filler neck itself. I'm gonna go ahead and make a parts run. All of these hoses are pretty much destroyed, except for this big main one here. That one's a little bit crusty, but I would have to order a new OEM one because it's got such a specific bend to it. But everything else just fell apart. So I'm gonna go buy all new hoses, new hose clamps, and then I'm also gonna grab all new hardware for our fuel tank. So where everything bolts on, make it nice and pretty, even though you can't see it. Why do I do this? Went ahead, got that sandblasted. I need to drop that off and get powder coated. I think it's finally time we go ahead and throw this whole assembly back together, minus, of course, the filler neck system. And just like that, my friends, our fuel tank is completely done. This project, all in all, just a little over 20 hours total, which I know is kind of crazy for just the fuel tank alone, but it turned out perfect. It looks perfect. It looks beautiful, even though you can't see it. Damn, she looks good. Really excited with how this Raptor liner turned out. It's definitely not fully hardened yet, but once the stuff does harden all the way, I know it's gonna be rock hard, rock solid, and it's probably never gonna fail just because we prepped this thing properly, sprayed down some epoxy like you're supposed to. We should be good for life. Anything that we used in today's video, I'll have linked down below. Absolutely love the contrasting blacks between the gloss black prismatic powder and like the wrinkle black on the tank. I think it looks so freaking nice. And of course, you can't forget the nice billet radium hanger. I know it's just a gas tank, but I'm proud of it. I hope you guys enjoyed today's video. Peace out, my friends. I'll see you tomorrow.